You haven't talked at all about any performance anxiety. You haven't said my palms were sweaty as I walked in to meet with these august men.
I'll tell you, when you're that age, you don't get nervous.
But you've never had.
Well, you know,
difficulty.
I thought I knew everything, but I knew nothing.
And so you came in the Philharmonic in 1949.
48.
48. And it was Walter at first.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, you know, the conductors of that first season, well, Walter was the chief. He was music advisor. That was his title. And we had Charles Munch, George Sell, we had Leopold Stokowski, Dmitri Metropolis, and Leonard Bernstein. Pretty good roster.
For your first season. So, I wanted to have you talk a little bit about your first experiences in the Philharmonic and what that felt like and what you learned as a player there. Maybe the bigger lessons you'd already passed through.
Well, no, you know, when I got on the stage for that first rehearsal, I remember it very clearly. Metropolis was conducting, and the piece was Thus Spake Zarathustra of Richard Strauss, and the sound was overwhelming, of course, on the Carnegie Hall stage, and I mean, it was amazing to hear this kind of sound. Like I said, I thought I knew everything, but I found out quickly I knew nothing. But I learned, you know, because I was focused, I guess talented in a way, and I had enough blinders on to absorb what I was listening to. And I listened to these players, these great soloists, and every rehearsal became a master class. So I mean, I really learned on the job, but it was amazing, just the sound that this orchestra made. It was just something amazing.
And suddenly you were a part of it and helping it along. It's an incredible thing. The roster of music directors that Stanley Drucker has played for: Bruno Walter, Leopold Stokowski, Dmitri Metropolis, Leonard Bernstein, George Sell, Pierre Boulez, Zubin Mehta, Kurt Mazur, and Lauren Mazel, and one with an asterisk, which I just learned about today.
Yeah, John Barbaroli came as a guest during my early years, and he had been music director in the 30s, right after Arturo Toscanini.
So I'd like you to talk a little bit about a couple of these fellows.
Sure.
Bruno Walter, I mean, he was the fellow who brought you in. What was he like on the podium?
Well,
and off the podium?
Of course, you know, he created a lot of awe in people. The man was a living legend. He was a symphonic man through and through. His repertoire was the great masters. He was not interested so much in the modern music, but the tradition he brought to his Mozart and Brahms was amazing. He never gave up. He was always striving for something great. He'd rehearse a movement of something, and he said, "Gentlemen, it was gentlemen in those days. Gentlemen, I'm not happy. Once more." And he'd go back to the beginning. It was amazing. He was a bigger-than-life character, of course.
Among your favorites was Dmitri Metropolis.
Well, Metropolis was an amazing genius. And everything was from memory, even the rehearsals. To give you an example, we did an early performance of Alban Berg's Wozzeck, which is a gigantic piece, you know, with an enormous orchestra, and he even rehearsed without score for that, and he knew every rehearsal number. I mean, it was something incredible, and he was interested in the new music. And you got to play a lot of interesting things that ordinarily wouldn't get to play. And he was the kind of a very saintly man, if there's such a thing, where he did good deeds. He did things for people. He got instruments for people. He paid for their lessons. He paid for their psychoanalysis, maybe. I don't know. I just he was amazing man. He lived very humbly. He lived in one room in a hotel on 56th Street, the Great Northern, and he lived in one room and he would just walk up the street to the stage door of Carnegie Hall, and And he was a man that was an innovator. He started the chamber ensemble at the Philharmonic in those days, during his time, and he commissioned works. He conducted some of them. He played the piano in some of them. He really helped musicians. He was an amazing man. They named the concert hall in Athens for him.
You're in the Philharmonic, and working. I guess actually the answer to this question probably occurred to me. I was wondering, you're immersed in the symphonic repertoire at this point. When did you find time to play chamber music? But the Philharmonic season wasn't the whole year, so you had some other time.
Right. Oh yes, it was when I joined. It was 28 weeks in the regular season and 6 weeks at Lewiston Stadium, so it really wasn't year round. But while I was at Curtis, I played a very early performance. It was the first Philadelphia performance. It sounds funny to say that, of the Leonard Bernstein Clarinet Sonata. And it turned out the pianist I played with was a friend of his, which I didn't know that at the time. But so I really got to know this piece before I got to know Leonard Bernstein. And in the Philharmonic, of course, we started playing chamber music in the 50s. And we had a regular series that took place up at the 92nd Street Y in those days. And it was really an exciting time because we did a lot of new music and a lot of works that one didn't get to play normally. So it was also a learning process. I personally learned how to walk out on a stage and walk off a stage in those concerts.